Be live.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the 81st week of the Free Assange Online Vigil. I'm joined tonight with my co-host Steve Poikinen and Misty Winston. And we do have very special guests, the Convo Couch, that we will be pulling in here in just a moment. But before we do, I wanted to run through some numbers with everybody. We are at 3,692 days of the illegal and arbitrary detention of Julian Assange. It's been 13 days since Vanessa Baraitser's January 6, 2021 ruling blocking bail for Julian Assange after 2 days earlier on January 4th, issuing an order for his release and barring his extradition to the United States. It is 647 days since the WikiLeaks founder was trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy after being sold to the United Kingdoms for a $4.2 billion loan to the International Monetary Fund of the nation of Ecuador. We have 1,316 days of federal incarceration for whistleblower Reality Winner. We have 312 days of freedom for Chelsea Manning. And in some kind of good, kind of not good news, we have Jeremy Hammond in a halfway house for the last 63 days, which is better than prison, but is not freedom. But with that, how are you doing today, Steve?
Okay, so I'm actually going to tell you how I'm doing. I am my power is being generated off of an inverter, which is being plugged into my running truck because we don't have electricity in my community at all right now, and I've been on standby to evacuate from a potential fire about 2 miles away from my house all day. That fire is now like 52% contained, but if the winds pick up, then so do I. The last time I was on standby for evacuation was on a Free Assange Vigil, and I did get the text to evacuate in the middle of it. Gonna hope that doesn't happen for this one, but it's been tense, man. It's been tense, like in general too, because it's a hectic day surrounding like the last full day of Donald Trump's presidency and all of the different rumors from every corner about pardon this and no pardon that and bully this and Mitch McConnell that. And so we've got a lot to discuss in terms of that. But if you see me like pick up my phone and go, oh, then we're back to that spot where we were in August, where I had to leave the stream early to go fly to the safest place I could think of, which was Murder Mountain.
Oh, quit your bitching, Steve. Joe Biden's gonna be president tomorrow. Everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, all the more reason to flee to Murder Mountain.
See, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. This will give you an excuse to go and stay. Right? Joe Biden's gonna be president, Steve.
Dude, I would like to no longer be in California soon. However, if I have to stay here, I would like to do it not anywhere near a major metropolitan area.
I can agree with that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. The host of the Convo Couch, Pasta, Jardula, and Fiorella Isabel. It's really good to see you guys, by the way. I miss hanging out with you in person.
Yeah,
that was fun. We could all just like go back to, or at least, travel someplace else a little bit less false flaggy and all hang out. That would be fantastic.
Stop spreading conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Or you're going to get deplatformed. Jesus Christ.
We're
not violence. Did I just say violence?
You did. Reported.
No, I didn't question the integrity of the election, so I don't know if that's violent. I don't know if what I said is technically violent. We're going to have to.
Terrorist.
We're gonna have to. It's true. That's true. We're gonna have to ask an expert, though.
Yeah, I guess. We can
open invite right now to Jordan Sheridan to join the Free Assange Vigil.
Oh my God! You had to go there.
I will be happy with either. I will be happy with either. Come on the vigil or fight me for charity.
So I wanted to get your guys' opinion, Pasta and Fee, about what the hell is going on right now. So we have it basically in position where the Tiger King says his legal team's like, yeah, we're pretty much 100%. We're sending the stretch Hummer limo truck thing to go pick him up. but somehow, and this is even if it's true, we had a discussion about like this kind of just feeling almost like opium, but being appreciative that this is still like burning headlines at this point. But with Mitch McConnell supposedly blackmailing Donald Trump, like, if you pardon Assange, we're going to get you, even though they've gotten him every single time he's done everything else. So I was just wondering what your guys' opinions are at this point.
Well, I got to tell you, thank you for having us on the show today. I know I'm having a little fun. I have little outfits on, and I like to do this occasionally when I come on with you guys. But I am a little bit on edge right now, too, as well. But I got to tip my hats off to you guys. I know I constantly give you guys praise, but my mom has gotten into the whole Assange situation lately. I mean, literally, my mom texts me, and she's on the East Coast. I just sent her the link to
Hi,
the
Pasta's mom.
Try not to curse so much. She's an old school Sicilian woman, and she always says,
I'm sorry. Wait,
people,
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry in advance.
In
I'm
advance.
sorry in advance.
But good job not cursing today on Fault Lines, by the
I'm
way.
so proud of myself.
Yeah. But my mom texts me late at night, you know, she's like, Mitch McConnell sent a letter to Donald Trump saying if he tries to pardon Assange, they're going to convict him. And my mom's like, this is BS. He should pardon Assange and Snowden, you know, and she's been paying attention to Jimmy Doran Tucker and Sarah Palin. And it feels like we've gotten some momentum down the backstretch. We avoided the extradition. And I was really hoping for, you know, what Jimmy said on the other day, not to quote him, but you guys have been saying it for a while. Stick the thumb back in the eye of the people who screwed you over and pardon this guy right now. And it does mean a lot to free speech, because if he leaves office and he does not do this, he's going to allow the tech giants to do what they do. And meanwhile, let a man who pretty much put him in the White House, right? WikiLeaks, and he's not going to pardon him. It's just, it's nerve-wracking right now, because I know when Biden gets in, it's lights out for
well, I think
Assange.
if Trump does not pardon Julian Assange, then like I think everything that we have said about Trump being part of the swamp, like not being this anti-interventionist, this outsider, anti-establishment dude, will be obvious to anybody that has a brain cell. Like it, you know, his supporters can only support him so long. I mean, it's not like they haven't already done everything they needed to do to him anyway. So what better way to go out than to really give a fuck you to the the deep state, the military industrial complex, CIA, three-letter agencies, etc. Because if he doesn't do that, then he'll look weak. And I think that is the angle that I think a lot of people have worked on with Trump. Like, he is a narcissist and he is somebody that wants to look good. So what better way to do that than to pardon Julian Assange? If he doesn't do that, everything that they can throw on him plus this will be what he's remembered for.
I agree with that. And I think
can I interject for a moment here?
Yeah.
So Trump doesn't need his base anymore, especially if they're going to threaten to convict him in the Senate. He doesn't need his base anymore. He can go back to being a billionaire real estate mogul, and he can go right back to stiffing all of his base if they're dumb enough to try and win a contract from him on a new build. Like, and then they can have a lawsuit against him, just like the other, 2,400 plus people that he's refused to pay over the years. Like the thing about what Chuck Schumer said right when Trump got into office about the intelligence community having 6 ways to Sunday to get you if you cross them, is that the people that Donald Trump needs to please now, if he wants to be allowed to ride off into the sunset and start a new media company or a social media company or whatever he wants to do, wherever he wants to go. If he wants to be able to do that, the people he needs to please now is the money and the national security state.
Yeah.
And what we're hearing about, Mitch McConnell threatened him with this, I would imagine that that's red meat more than it, and narrative management in general, than it is rooted in any kind of a reality. Now, and I'm aware that this is all sounding pretty cynical, and I explained I had a pretty rough day. So you can take all of this with a grain of salt. You can.
You sound like me.
However, I think that when it comes to guaranteeing the freedom of Julian Assange, what we needed to make a pardon work was way more people than what we have had. And I've seen a lot of people come around since September.
Yeah.
And that's a fantastic start. And that's a great way to go into a new administration mobilized. But I don't necessarily.
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
I think in the next 3 hours, the only thing we're going to see from Donald Trump is narrative management, and the only thing that Julian Assange is going to continue to see is the inside of a cell at Belmarsh.
Okay, so wait, can we talk about this going forward? Because that does sound all doom and gloom. So I'm going to actually try to counterbalance you, which is weird because I'm usually the super negative one. But moving forward, like, y'all, okay, he's not going to get pardoned. Okay, let's wrap our heads around that. I've already done that because I'm a cynic. But moving forward, we can use this against Joe Biden. Donald Trump destroyed the First Amendment. Oh my God, you guys! Like he tortured a journalist who exposed war crimes, and this is terrible. And Barack Obama wouldn't even, charge him or have him extradited or whatever. You can use Barack Obama. This is what has pissed me off this whole time about Bernie Sanders and AOC and all these people remaining silent because they could have used Barack Obama as cover. Barack Obama didn't go there. Why can't you just say, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Donald Trump is, prosecuting a journalist, and Barack Obama would, we have to stand behind Barack Obama. You can even hide behind Steve, what do you call him? Black Jesus? I mean, it makes no sense to me that they cower.
I've also referred to Barack Obama as Biden's black sweater.
Yes.
Because he will literally wear that man like a freaking jacket in order to deflect from criticism. And no, I mean, I agree. Okay, so I probably ended that a little bit more doom and gloomy than it actually was, because I did say that the people who have woken up since September is a great way to, go mobilized into the new administration. I did say that. And then I said, but with Trump, the only thing I think Julian is going to continue to see is the inside of that cell. But that, again, that lasts for another, 3 hours?
Well, it doesn't have till noon. I think it's till noon tomorrow.
He has till noon.
Till noon.
Yeah.
So that's going to be another thing that happens, is that all of the oxygen is going to get sucked out of activism tomorrow, because everybody's going to be saying you can't do anything until afternoon because Trump can still pardon Julian. So everyone still has to, drop everything and only focus on this. And no, dude, like, go out and flyer a town about jury nullification. Fuck it. Like, it's gonna happen. We're going to be ready to face whatever the Biden administration has.
Bring it, fuckers.
So there's something I've been working on that I've done.
I've sworn less than Misty. I just want to point that out. I have sworn less than Misty.
So I'm going to try to find a way to organize and coordinate this in a little bit of a better fashion. Well, I guess notify groups and coordinate in a little bit of a better fashion. But twice now, on January 3rd and on January 17th, I sent out multiple notifications to cities across the country and different groups that protests were taking place to build on-the-ground, in-person support for Assange outside of different Department of Justice locations, 210 of them specifically in 210 different cities. I'm going to work on making that a more regular and concise thing until we get Julian free and secure our First Amendment rights, on top of just getting him free, because the legal standing of the courts in the UK is terrible for the precedent that it sets. But so I look forward to doing that, and I look forward to working with everybody in the audience and people that just want to get involved from other organizations at this point about making events happen on a at least monthly, if not bi-monthly basis across the country. I have 210 sites with city councils, mayors, police chiefs, and departments that have already twice now deployed in response to protests. So I'm hoping that we can work on making that bigger.
Steve.
Steve doesn't like it. I think it's
Steve has like a laundry list of legitimate
absolutely. I have a laundry list.
reasons to be shaking his head right now. So many. So many.
It's pressure to be expecting from us to try to step it up in a way, I guess.
Yeah. Could I say something too? But by the way, I just wanted to go ahead, Andrew. I'm so sorry to be
I'm rambling.
Well, I mean, I wanted to kind of digress to what Mindy said because I
Did
think
you just call me Mindy again?
Did you call her Mindy again? Did you fucking do that again?
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, Pasta's mom, that I said a naughty word at your
I
son
bet
there,
Pasta's mom is
but
cuss too.
too many times that he's now forgotten Misty's name, and I feel like there was maybe Pasta's mom needs to show up with a wooden spoon.
she would. And get Misty's name
I was
right.
convinced that
Sammy
I was
Craig.
convinced that my mom had stock in the wooden spoon factory. I was.
She did. Right, she did. I just though Misty. I have to say I'm going to disagree though with your analogy, just because I think that no matter what, even the fact that Donald Trump didn't pull the trigger and do what he had to do and what he should have done when it comes to Julian Assange, I still think they're going to look at the Obamas, the Bidens, the Clintons, McConnells, the Lindsey Grahams as part of the establishment that, just like a lot of us felt that they were holding something over Bernie's head to make him go along with it, things that they did the same thing to Donald Trump. So I think that type of tactic won't be successful if we try to say, hey, look what Donald Trump did. Let's come on, First Amendment right.
No, you're misunderstanding though. It's more about the public pressure. That really is just about the public pressure. It's not. I mean, I don't think that it matters if it's Joe Biden or a ham sandwich. But the public pressure, like people, and that's how you get people involved is by taking these Biden supporters. We've already got Trump supporters who get it. So now we can take those Biden supporters and get them to be like, "What the hell? What's going on here? This is the First Amendment."
That's going to be the trick.
Yeah,
we really did just spend 4 years flipping Trump. Like there were some Trump supporters that were on board from day one.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we really spent 4 years.
Democrats used to love Julian
these Trump
Assange.
supporters.
But so one of the things, because I want to make sure that this gets out there, while everyone's, and I think it is a good idea, and it is not the best and absolute A+ 100% win, but a pardon is important. But on Friday, the U.S. Department of Justice decided to appeal the no extradition ruling by the United States. And the thing that upsets me right now is that that's not being included in the pardon Assange conversation, right? Because we haven't even got the documents about what they're appealing on or how. The most information, at least to my knowledge, that we have is on basically the last day on Friday. They said, hey, we're going to file, but we need some more time. So we got to push this out a little bit. So they basically asked for an extension. I don't know the legal terms. I don't know the legalese, but they said, hey, we're going to appeal this. We're just not ready. Can we get 2 more weeks?
They're going to drag it out. They want to drag it out.
Yeah. They want to kill him in jail, right? Is that what you guys told me?
Process is the punishment.
Let him rot in jail.
Yeah.
Make a lesson out of him.
I'll go find the tweet here real quick. But yeah, no, what we've been saying since we found out that that extradition was denied was that now that the ball is in the U.S.'s court to appeal, they're going to drag it out as long as humanly possible. They would much rather have prison conditions take care of the problem that is a living, breathing, functional Julian Assange than actually have to go forward with broad daylight claiming international jurisdiction over the press. I do believe, especially with the Biden administration, had a problem with Trump because he said the quiet parts out loud, because he took the mask off of the hideous face of the empire, and a Biden administration represents a return to that mask of civility. And the savagery that's hidden behind it is going to be dragging this appeals process out as long as possible, filing meaningless appeals that are going to be dismissed for improper grounding, or that's going to have a key missing piece, and then they're going to have to kick it back for another 3 months. And this is the kind of crap that we're going to see, because they know that their case is built on fabrications, and they know that so much of the witness testimony is based on paid snitches, one of whom is a convicted pedophile who already did time for embezzling from WikiLeaks, who was sent there as one of the plants, and so it's so hollow on its face that all they can do is try to drag it out. They have no other, well, I don't know about no other recourse, but very little other recourse. And here is the document that it doesn't as much predict all of this, but it's an outline of what we've been seeing this entire time. By the way, everybody can go to wikileaks.org. This is in the Global Intelligence files. I'll drop the link to it in my chat. But this is from December 7th, 2010. This is coming out of the Stratfor hack. One other point is this: ferreting out his Confederates is also key. Find out what other disgruntled rogues inside the tent or outside. Pile on. Move him from country to country to face various charges for the next 25 years, but seize everything he and his family own, to include every person linked to WikiLeaks.
There it is. Julian told you it was coming, man. I mean, I wish people would listen to him. He's, you know what I'm saying? Like, he called this himself. Like, this is something that he leaked. Hey, look, here's what they're about to do to me. And hey, look, guess what they're doing to him? The exact thing. It's fucking crazy. And process is the punishment. That's what's up. Like, they're just trying to wear him down and, destroy him physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, piece by piece.
By the way, if the U.S. State Department gets their way with the case that they've laid out in the indictment against Julian Assange, I go to prison for sharing that, and all of you go to prison for looking at it.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I mean, I don't think most people
at this point, an over decade old email.
Guys, we live in a cartoon. This is terrible. We're so fucked. Like, I keep saying it. Oh, sorry, Pasta's mom. God damn it. Oh,
don't worry about it, Misty.
Come on, Mindy.
Come on, don't stop being a bullshit, Andrew.
I do have to say,
Mom.
I just cussed because I was. Oh God.
I do want to say though, like, in terms of Julian Assange and relating like the political landscape to him, there is a sector of the Trumpian support on the right that has broken with Trump and will continue to break with him, because they genuinely believe that he was going to be attacking the establishment. And seeing like a lot of people, like I was on somebody's show the other day, like, people who were Trump supporters are no longer Trump supporters, and they're politically homeless because they started paying attention to the security state. They started paying attention to what's going on with the censorship, and they also started paying attention to the police state in terms of how they're turning around what happened at the Capitol. And I think there is a sector of that that is breaking away. I've already seen establishment Republicans put out Tom Cotton as a potential nominee for 2024. Tom Cotton is not going to be the more populist right-wing candidate. He is the establishment candidate. And so I think what we're seeing is like the outskirts of like a post-partisan not necessarily unity, but maybe like a type of just understanding like that we differ, that some of us on the right on the left differ, but there is more of like a push for that, even though we're being like called, you know, Nazi sympathizers and all of that. There are people who are politically homeless who are ready to be like educated and like not in a condescending way, but like on how the left, the anti-imperialist left, is extremely different than the authoritarian squad, boutique, whatever left, right? I think there is some hope in that sort of union, but that is just optimistically looking at it as well.
Well, I'm kind of confused why this is even like a controversy, because here's the thing. I don't agree with anybody 100% of the time. Yep. So why is it unreasonable of me to look at each specific issue on its own and be like, oh, hey, we agree on this, let's do this thing, or hey, fuck you, I disagree with you on this, so let's not, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why this is even a controversy. Don't grown-ups understand that you can disagree with somebody sometimes, and then sometimes somebody that you really hate will maybe do or say something good? Like, for example, Tucker Carlson, having multiple people on his show. Listen, I don't care why he's doing it. I don't care, if you're mad because Jimmy Dore goes on his show, or if you think Pam Anderson is like whatever. It doesn't matter. He has a massive platform. He has a huge audience. He's the number one rated show right now? I know he's on there. I mean, and Trump watches him. So I don't care why he's doing it. If we can exploit his platform to put out our message, that would be really dumb of us to turn that down. So I don't get why this is even a controversy. Can't we just be adults and be like, hey, I don't agree with you, but it's really frustrating to me right now. I don't understand why, grown ass adults can't just get it together. And, I get that it's a lot of propaganda. We've been, pitted against each other, and we all, think that it's a team thing. Like, it's this ridiculous thing where I don't like Jimmy Dore personally, so everything he says must be bad. That's mind-bogglingly infantile. I don't even know what that is.
This has been part of the propaganda and the cultural conditioning that we've been subjected to at an accelerated pace over the last 4 years, but really in a post 9/11 America. If you look at the response, the media response, and the conditioning that came out of it post 9/11, it was, you have to have a knee-jerk visceral emotional response to everything. And everything has to be seen through a political lens. And when people, that lasted for about 6 years, really. Like, they got away with that emotionalism for about 6 years, and then it had to be fragmented. And you saw more and more pinholing and trying to label and subcategorize and subcategorize everyone, and there was a huge push for every subcategory to have its own media market. And now we're so fractured and so siloed algorithmically that nobody can freaking talk to anybody, because everybody is convinced that everyone outside of their specific subcategory bubble is the devil and literally Hitler. There's no rational conversation that can be gained until you get so frustrated with that dynamic, until you realize that dynamic and you realize why that dynamic exists, that you go, oh my God, I have to just shut out all of that ridiculousness and find a way to talk to everybody about this one particular thing, or this set of this set of things, and that's how postpartisanship sort of starts. I just gave you an accelerated timeline of that.
It's all by design, though, right, Steve? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, George Carlin told us this a long time ago. They don't want people smart enough to understand what's going on, to see that a system has been screwing them over for years. They just want them smart enough to push the buttons and the brooms. And I think we're there right now. I mean, we're at this point You know, you ever take a class and you're kind of like you're slow at learning it, but by like the third or fourth class you just get it. You're like, oh, I see what you're talking about. I think a lot of us have had that moment too as well. And I was rewatching your show with Whitney Webb the other day, and I was like, wow, I get it now. Like, this is all by design. Like, you know, not even just to turn people against each other and make us so uber tribal or hyper tribal, whatever you want to call it, and stuff like that, but to tell on each other. You know what I'm saying? And we're at an all-time boiling point that it's just going to explode right now. And I think this, you know, the elites with this whole Trump situation, and I don't know where Trump stands, because, you know, I start thinking about the times when you guys were talking about the way they made Antifa domestic terrorists and people were pulling down statues domestic terrorists. And now it's like the other side is getting their turn to even further inflame and engulf this divide. And I at the end of the day, sometimes I do feel sorry for, I don't know what you want to call the rest of the people who are just, you know, consumed with just trying to survive.
Yeah.
That's what I have
Dead
to
air.
say.
They're sleeping.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
I mean,
It's
Good,
hard
I
to
would-
have democracy when people have a hard time having food. Like, it's hard to
Yeah.
have democracy when people can't be able to provide basic housing and employment for themselves.
Right.
And it is by design.
It is
And,
absolutely by design, and the media plays into that too.
Yeah.
I
like,
mean-
if you look at the world through the timeline of what has been happening to Julian, the last free week we collectively experienced was the end of February and beginning of March. And then once them of the world realized that they had almost total media hegemony, that they could prosecute a journalist and torture him in broad daylight, they were just like, bam, run with Event 201, we got it.
Well, and now they're trying to systematically destroy any outside alternative media sources at all. And people are cheering it on. It's unbelievable to witness. This is crazy talk, you guys. This is, I mean, okay, so did you guys see, you guys did a video on it. The dude on CNN who's all, yeah, we need to bring people back
Yeah.
into the mainstream. And are you
Yep.
kidding me? That
Like
segment
Greenwald.
was
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah.
They are 100%
Scary.
going for full narrative control. Like, they're going to tell you exactly what you can know, what you can think, what you can read, what you can watch, what you can listen to. I mean, that's where we're headed right now. It's unbelievably terrifying. And they're just saying it out loud too. And you have progressives cheering this on, pushing this forward. Unreal.
And
They
not
think we
just-
need to be reprogrammed, by the way.
Yeah, they do.
Reprogram.
Yeah. Like,
They got to
yeah.
reprogram Trumpers.
Remember,
I mean,
it's like
listen.
the conversion therapy. Like, if you're
Yes.
gay, like that's literally what it sounds like. And I don't mean that in a, like, you know, trying to like toss people like on the
It's a
side,
great
LGBTQ
analogy.
people on the side. I'm just saying, like, it really, it's crazy talk to think that. And it's not just progressives. It's literally people who are leftist. And I have to say that because they will be leftist on like all other things. Like, they'll say like, oh, you know, I am like an anarcho-communist, I believe in, and collectivism, I believe in this and that. But when it comes to like the security state, they dismiss it and say, well, Julian Assange is just one person. I don't understand these Assange people. Like, they're just so focused on one guy. What does one guy like? I'd rather focus on healthcare for all, Medicare for all, and you try to explain it to them, and it's like, well, you're just a Nazi sympathizer, and you're just this and that, and it's like, it's really disgusting. But we have to understand that the authoritarianism is actually possible on the left, and like that divide on the left is like a top bottom divide, meaning like it's like the authoritarianism versus a more like, I don't want to say libertarian, but technically
Say it.
yes, like
yes,
more
libertarian.
minding.
It's libertarian. That's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really like libertarians, but
So-
I
don't either, but-
The only difference between libertarianism and socialism is the size that you think your family is. Everything else grows out of that fundamental difference of how big is my family.
Yeah, pretty much the same basic points for the Libertarian Party and the same basic points for the Green Party are in line. There's if you look at their charters, if you look at, you know, all that shit, they're basically saying the same thing, basically. But yeah, no, Andrew's right there. It is. It's how big you think your family is, and really, ultimately, how you think money should be allocated.
Right.
You
And
know,
if people should have the power to essentially design money allocation.
but yeah, no,
To
if
regulate
you
or not
can,
to regulate is the big question.
But
Privatization too.
Yeah, to
So even
regulate
on
or
the-
not to regulate.
even on the idea of words, right? Like, depending on what community you talk to, free speech means a radically different thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, we had Victor on. I can't remember his last name, but like, God bless him,
Dadage.
Dadage. And he's a French journalist that's been following Julian's case, and like, he does great, amazing work. Right? He said we need to find a way to stop using the language of empire, and that's when we collectively tried to start referring to what was happening to Julian as a rendition.
And then we heard that again. We heard that exact same thing echoed from a completely different corner of the world.
Mhm. But the other thing that he pointed out too, what Victor, oh my God, I hate when my brain just turns off. One of the things that he talked about was the way that we phraseology, right? And using free speech means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But the term right to know, like the public's right to know about corruption and war crimes and all of these, is something that hasn't inherently been perverted and can't be perverted. Like, who's going to campaign against the public's right to know? Because that is what is enshrined within what we're losing. So that's one of, at least from his point of view, that I agree with. One of the perspectives on reaching the public broadly about this is we're losing our right to know what even happens, let alone be involved in a meaningful way.
Well, and I mean, the guy on the CNN segment was talking about how, you know, we need to get back to like a consensus of reality and fact-based. I'm like, fact-based? This is, are you
How do we
kidding
move
me?
them back into the mainstream?
Yeah.
How do we move them back into the mainstream?
CNN fact-based? And he said that like without, like, totally deadpan. Like, that's
Yeah.
good. I mean, I guess he believes his own bullshit, but that's ridiculous.
Well,
These are the same people that sold us every war ever. These are the people that, I mean, on CNN, they told us that we weren't allowed, which, I mean, this is actually going to be true soon, but you're not allowed to look at WikiLeaks. So you just have to listen to us and we'll tell you what's in them.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a bit of foreshadowing or some manufacturing of consent, because that's what's about to happen.
Well, they're not even going to be able to tell us because it's going to be illegal for them to even possess it. It will be illegal for a whistleblower to say, here, journalist, here is what I know and have seen to be fact. That will be illegal. That exchange of information will be illegal. Not just the whistleblowing and the violations of non-disclosure agreements.
Holding on to the information. Yeah.
Right.
It should be illegal to talk about elections.
It already
It almost is, says Cory Bush. Like, can't talk about that.
Yeah, and if it's not illegal, you are basically smeared and told you're conspiracy theorists, and that's what it is. Like, you can't. That's why I keep saying, like, free speech and talking about Julian Assange and election integrity are two of the most loneliest places that you can be talking about two of these issues that people don't care about. I mean, literally, they do not care. Like, they think, you know, Julian Assange is one guy, I have all these other problems, and then they think election integrity, well, no, let's just continue running people under a party that's a complete fabrication of any reality. It's part of the oligarchy, and they think like, oh yeah, let's continue pushing for Nina Turner, let's continue pushing for X person without addressing anything, even starting a new party without addressing any of these issues. It's like, what, like, I'm sorry, it's like, what's the point? Call us cynics, but it's like, you just know right now what's going on. It's fruitless.
Yeah.
It's putting the horse before the cart. It's ridiculous. Like, you cannot accomplish
Cart before the horse, right?
I used to say that all the time.
Or he says cart before the horse. I don't know why.
No, that's right. It's cart before the horse, I think. It's horse before the cart makes sense.
Is the horse going to push the cart, Misty? No.
It's Mindy. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, it's funny because you're talking about that CNN thing with the guy from the ex-executive from Facebook saying that stuff. And he mentioned, these crazy channels like Newsmax and OANN. There was an independent journalist who kind of mentioned us being in the same crazy category as Newsmax and OAN.
This is the same independent journalist that is in lockstep with Bill Kristol and Rachel Maddow on the sanctity of the 2020 general election, right?
Yes, that the same one with the Department of Homeland Security says the most secure ever.
Well, that we need to reform the Democratic Party who voted for Joe Biden, who thinks like the pathway to progressives is also reforming the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
like
that
I'm done
leftists
with
like
anybody
us,
saying that.
that leftists like us got all those Trump people out there and were part of it. Inside, a woman got shot. Steve, Andrew, and Misty. A woman got shot.
Okay, listen. So just so you guys don't feel so bad, today I was told that I am personally going to get Julian Assange killed. So
I
there you
saw
go.
that.
Oh, welcome to the freaking club, Mindy.
I'm so powerful, Mindy.
Don't talk to Mindy like that.
Do you remember the Animaniacs? Do you remember that show, the Animaniacs? Because there was a little girl named Mindy with the giant dog that always got in trouble.
She was
and like the dog would straight up like alter space time and shit.
Mindy was a lot like Misty.
So there is something I want to talk about that I don't think we've pulled up on screen on the vigil in a minute. So I'm going to pop it up just so we can all know and remember the world that we live in.
Oh.
Hey, Andrew, you're doing a really good job keeping us on task tonight.
I'm trying. There's a lot of stuff.
But you're still not allowed to book anybody anymore. So.
Right.
So this is a little document that came out called the National Counterintelligence Strategy 2020 through 2022.
Oh, geez.
And in this, they specifically say, in this paragraph here, I'm gonna read it. The number of actors targeting the United States is growing. China and Russia operate globally to use instruments of national power to target the United States and have a broad range of sophisticated intelligence capabilities. Other state adversaries such as Cuba, Iran, and North Korea, non-state actors such as Hezbollah, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda, as well as transnational criminal organizations and ideologically motivated entities such as hacktivists, leaktivists, and public disclosure organizations also pose significant threats. Additionally, foreign nationals with no formal ties to foreign intelligence services steal sensitive data and intellectual property. Right? And this document, let me see if I can scroll down fast enough. I think it's on the first page. I don't want to burn everyone's eyes. But the document itself is signed by Donald Trump. I'll drop a link into the chats for everybody to take a look. Yeah. But so we are currently seeing the U.S. getting a 14-day extension on the appeal for the no extradition proceeding after Julian won that case. God damn it. We see back then hacktivists, leaktivists, and public disclosure organizations are criminalized in the same breath as Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, and ISIS, right? The fight is so much bigger than securing the pardon. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And regardless of if Trump pardons him or not, there's so much space that has to be reclaimed since Julian was silenced for free speech, because things like this wouldn't have been able to stand 4 years ago when they would have been able to release it a year ahead of time and say, hey, look at what they're trying to roll out.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Andrew, because people ask me all the time, well, what are you going to do if like Julian gets pardoned? Then like, what are you going to do? Because you've been this fight's not over. Like this doesn't end. This doesn't end ever.
We have to get rid of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, the Espionage Act, the Patriot Act.
Oh, this is never over. Ever.
Just for one part of the First Amendment.
Very simply put, like the fight to free Julian Assange is also the fight to the fight for the future of activism, the fight for the future of journalism, the fight for our ability to communicate with each other in general, period. It's so involved in every aspect of our society. And here's the thing, if somehow Julian Assange was pardoned tomorrow, he would more than likely rejoin this fight. We were all fighting this same fight together.
Yeah.
And 5 world governments conspired to take Julian off of the table. That doesn't mean that we stop fighting, and that doesn't mean if he somehow manages to become part of the scene again, that he wouldn't want us to keep fighting or not fight with us. Like, this is so much bigger than one person. They're trying to use one person to come at all of us. So we're rallying together around this one person, but the fight still exists. The fight that
Yeah, they're
Julian
really
fought
not trying to
alongside of it.
silence him. They're trying to
Yeah.
silence us.
Yeah,
Right.
That's it. This is not
absolutely.
about him. I
You hear
mean,
that,
it is.
Mom? Listen, Mom. Say that again, Misty. My mom's listening.
What?
Say that again, because I was saying this to my mother the other day. They're not trying to silence Julian. They're trying to silence all of us.
Oh,
Well,
well,
Julian
for sure. He's the
said it.
proverbial head on the stake. He's the, like I say that all the time. He is the warning shot. Like, this is it. If you mess with us, this is what will happen to you. And it's so much bigger. I wish people would understand that, because so many people get too focused on Assange as a person, as a character, as a caricature, as like this evil villain that they've created. And it's, yes, I don't mean that in a dismissive way, like he's not worth fighting for. I sobbed when I learned that he was not going to be extradited, even though that the ruling sucked otherwise. But you know, it is so much bigger than him. That's saving his life is really just like the first little step that we have to take. And this is a massive fight. And it's been going on for a long time. It's been ramped up really hardcore in the last 4 to 8 years, specifically, really the past 40. But this is the fight before all other fights, because I mean, without freedom of the press, without the ability to communicate your ideas freely, without the ability to be able to have conversations and debate, you cannot fight for any other cause that matters to you. You cannot fight for healthcare. You cannot fight for election integrity. You cannot fight for anything else if you do not have the ability to communicate your ideas. And if they have complete narrative control, you're not getting anything that you want ever. That's it. It's over. So I know I get like overly hyped up about this part of it because it seems dramatic, but that's real life. Like, this is where we're at right now. This is a turning point. This is kind of like one of those places in human history where it's going to go one of two ways. And, you know, I'm terrified we're going to go the wrong direction.
And most of us already feel like it's too late in many ways. And this is our like this first battle is our last big push that we're going to be able to make collectively, which is why it's so important that we have post-partisan unity on this. We don't have to agree about everything else.
No.
We don't have to agree about anything else.
No.
We have to agree that securing the life of Julian Assange and the future of investigative journalism is fundamental to any conversations that we may have and any disagreements that we may have going forward, because that way we'll be allowed to have them. They won't be taking place without our consent, without our ability to push back, without a press or an internet with which to be able to push back.
Yeah. How are we going to fight for
Hopefully
election integrity without Convo Couch's reporting? You know what I mean? Like, they're the only ones really doing any good work on election integrity. How are we going to fight for that if they don't have a channel, if they don't have the ability to have a platform to put that message out there and to show people the facts and the evidence and you know what I mean? Like, that's what this is. It's huge. This is huge. Like, this is really, I don't know. I get frustrated all the time because I can't find the words to make people understand. And that's
Pink Power in my chat just dropped a great comment, and I'm going to get to that, but I do want to read a super chat that Justin B left a little while ago. It said that the Green Party is both eco-socialist and left libertarian at the same time. We definitely need to unite on strategy. Wish I could be part in this conversation with you all. And again, Justin, get in on the Discord, either Action for Assange's or mine, and we'll be able to pick up the conversation. And I don't know, man, like, get to know us, hang out. I frequently make like 30 people moderators of my show, and then we'll frequently have like a moderator panel on to shoot the shit and talk about whatever we want. And by the way, I do predict that other shows are going to start packing their channels with moderators and eventually have on their moderators too. I think that it is an incredible way to get like more information out there, because people genuinely feel like they're a part of what's going on. And at least, you know, over here they flat out are.
Well,
But
and
Peace
I
Power
love
said,
that we get to like meet all these, like we get to meet all these people, like we can see them. It's
Yeah.
it's different when they're in the chat, and I love your chat. Like I'm always in your chat. Like I love your chat,
dude, I have the best and best looking chat in YouTube.
right?
Flat out. Flat out.
You handsome
Are
bastards.
you gonna let him
Real quick though, Peace Power said in Julian's words, we are the last free people. We are the people that have the last chance to act. And he said this a long time ago, and he was talking specifically about Generation X in that context. But like the people who are aware of what's going on right now, like my Zoomer co-host Glory Jones, she's a part of that. Like now we can start to look at the last free generation as a loose confederation of people of all ages who realize that this first battle is the last big one we get to fight as a group.
Yeah,
and
that's
overcome the
terrifying.
fear too, because there's a lot of fear, like when you talk about censorship, or when you talk about the security state, when you talk about election integrity. There's several journalists that won't even talk about it, even if they believe what we believe, because they're afraid of getting smeared. They're afraid of losing any sort of ability. And it's sad to see that, because it's like, I think half of the people on the left, I think, that aren't really talking about it, don't do it because they're afraid of like getting the backlash we get when it comes to that. And that's what also keeps a lot of these hacks working for CNN and the New York Times and the Washington Post. It takes a lot of courage to actually stand up and literally lose every sort of praise and every sort of elitist mentality that you have been propagandized with. And like, I think more of these shows will eventually get to people's heads, like, okay, like they did it, Glenn Greenwald did it, you can do it too. Like, this is how it happens.
When we were in DC in February last year, we did a protest outside of the Hill, and there was a print journalist there who came out and was talking with us, and he literally said, please don't record any of this. If they even hear me talking to you or see me down here, I could get fired. And this was someone who is a journalist, whose job it is to challenge power's account of stories, telling us, little people on the ground, hey, I'm afraid to get fired, but I appreciate you guys doing this. And I appreciated him just fucking coming out and talking to us, that person. Because like that takes, even just walking outside and saying thank you fucking takes balls.
What's crazy is this is a journalist, and there's a protest going outside his place of employment about the most important press freedom trial in history, and he's going to get in trouble and get fired for talking to you. And he's a journalist. Like, that's news. This is news. This is what's I've always been confused by. I don't care what your opinion is on Assange. If you claim to be in the news media or in the business of talking about analyzing politics, and you're not talking about this is a massive court case. And if that's not news, I don't know what is. What are you doing with your life if this isn't something that you're covering, if journalism is your thing that you do? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I get it, like if you're even just like a certain kind of reporter, say you're a finance reporter or you're whatever, but this is something that impacts the future of your profession in a profound way. Every journalist should be talking about this.
Yeah.
It's bizarre to me that there aren't more journalists speaking out about that. It's crazy business.
I think the people, the masses of people just are duped because they don't think it does apply to them. They don't think it will have any effect on them. Hey, listen, we, as election integrity activists, we still have the case where Bruce Spiva said in a courtroom that the Democratic Party can go into the back room filled with cigar smoke and pick whoever the hell they want. If that didn't make the people so friggin' angry and so just disgusted not to just burn the DNC down to the ground, I mean, nothing will. Nothing will. They sit there and told people that their democratic process doesn't have to be democratic. And that's why I totally agree with Andrew right now, because as we're moving forward, there's only one solution: the freaking guillotine. That is it. It's time to get the guillotine out. I can cook. I can braise the rich.
Be careful. You're being violent now.
Sorry.
Don't play the song, Andrew. Don't play the song.
But
play the song, Andrew. I want to hear it.
No buts.
I'll sing John Denver if he doesn't play it.
Oh, Jesus,
Steve.
please don't.
I'm not.
No, I highly recommend the coup. The actual coup, the real coup, the Boots Riley band from back in the day, and their song "Guillotine." I recommend that fully.
Can we read some of
eyes? Get the guillotine, Andrew. Get the
Don't do
guillotine.
it.
Guillotine? Can I say
Guillotine?
The
Not if you want to be taken with any sort of like seriousness or
That's like
credibility.
the boomer thing to say, Pasta. Guillotine. Really? Come on.
Yeah, if
man.
you're saying it on like ironically or unironically, it's just it's bad.
What was the
Napoleon.
Napoleon. Get the guillotine, Napoleon.
Oh.
Quesadilla.
Yeah. You really want to be emulating those people?
We need the guillotine, Andrew.
Nice. No, we don't. Andrew, keep us on track. You were doing so good.
Andrew, you're falling asleep over there.
I'm calling Obama. I'm just letting it play out.
Oh. Andrew DeSantis. Snap. That's what Biden's going to say about Julian Assange. I'm telling you. He's going to say, oh, well, it's in the court's hands now. Can't do anything. We should just let it play out.
Yep.
You know, that's what he's going to say.
So I want to talk a little bit, right, about how we got into this position too. Because back in February, us being who we were, we had an interview with Cassandra Fairbanks where she talked about specifically the situation surrounding Donald Trump pardoning Julian Assange. So I want to start this conversation with his name was Seth Rich. Right. Let's start there. But so I'm going to pull a screen share up here for everybody real quick. The defense suggests that President Trump initiated an offer to a pardon through Republican Congressman Dana Rohrabacher in exchange for the name of his source for the 2016 election publications in August 2017. This offer came from the president. It undermines the defense's assertion that he was aggressively pursuing a prosecution against Mr. Assange and shows him readily abandoning it for some other perceived gain. That's the judge's words, right? In the section arguing about how Julian's prosecution isn't political.
Yeah. Well, the Queen of England said it's political, my friend.
So along with pardon Julian Assange, right? It should be pardon Julian Assange. His name was Seth Rich.
Yeah.
If that's really like how low we have to go to get Julian a pardon and have this case end, that should be part of what's being carried across the internet.
Yeah, but
as shitty as that sounds.
Hasn't there been declassified documents, and Bill Benny was talking about him, that Seth Rich had an email sent to WikiLeaks asking for his last payment? Don't we know right now? I mean, can't Trump just take that information and couldn't he have floated that and then pardon him? I mean, it's there now. Now we know, right? Not the fact that
It almost reminds me, if you remember your Nikola Tesla, where Thomas Edison told Tesla, I'll give you $10,000 if you can reinvent the electrical grid for me.
Yeah.
What?
You know that story?
What the hell does that have to do with anything?
I'm just shaking my head and acting like I know what he's talking about. Yes, yes, Andrew.
So Nikola Tesla was working for Thomas Edison, right?
I know.
And Edison says, hey, I'll give you like $10,000 or $20,000 if you can reinvent this thing that my best scientists couldn't figure out. Because Edison never invented anything. He was just a hack that made money. And Tesla did. And then Edison says, right, oh, my good friend, you don't understand American humor. We're not paying you anything. Right. And it was this game, right, to get Edison more power, to get him more ingratiated, I guess, with the powers that be in the financial establishment, being able to sell electricity. And this entire situation surrounding Seth Rich, I feel like if Julian would have done this, right, because there was a pending, and there still is a pending lawsuit to have Julian testify about Seth Rich's involvement in the leaks and the lawsuits involving Fox News. Like, that's still a thing that's existing, right? But I feel like in all other cases, just like Julian does, like you saw with the conversations between Guccifer too, like he didn't take the bait. Like he didn't come out and violate the fact that he protects his sources. He didn't come out and say his name is Seth Rich, right? Because that would have discredited WikiLeaks even further. Like, oh, this man's willing to sell himself out and say who the source is to save his own skin. And he didn't even fucking do that. And literally said, you have a First Amendment, use it, is what Julian supposedly told Kim.com from the information that Kim released about being offered a pardon in exchange for information about his source. So Julian is a fucking amazing human being, because I don't even know if I would be able to go
I
through
don't think I would be.
40 fucking days in solitary confinement.
I don't think I would be able to do
Because
that.
that's the big fucking question, right? Like, which one of these people are willing to spend the next 647 days in solitary confinement inside of the Guantanamo Bay of the UK? Like,
Well, that's when people argue with me that Russia was, the source for the leak or whatever, or the hack. It's amazing to me. Okay, so when Sean Hannity interviewed Julian Assange, and Julian Assange said very specifically, I can tell you that our source was not a state actor. I believe him. This is a guy who has an impeccable record, a 100% record of accuracy. No other media organization, publishing organization, journalist, news network, nobody has that record. And this is somebody who takes that record very seriously. Like, he's like that. He should be. And there's no way he would jeopardize that record to lie about something that he doesn't even have to speak on. He's not required to say anything about his source. All he has to do is say, I don't reveal my sources. He doesn't have to be specific in any way. It's not a state actor, none of that. So yeah, I fucking believe him. Like, it's crazy to me that people act like, he's dishonest about his sources, or that he's whatever. And, the whole Seth Rich thing, that's a whole other ball of wax, because holy cow, does that ever set people off? It's unreal how what's the
weaponized term? They turn that poor guy's murder.
Yes, but what's lizard brain? Not Jimmy robbery. Their lizard brain turns on, and it's like they cannot even fathom why somebody would question an unsolved murder of a DNC employee under very suspicious circumstances, right after a massive leak. That's
a botched murder where the only thing that got taken was the laptop, and it turns out the FBI had that the whole time.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to talk about that at all.
Yep. Hey, wait a minute, but hang on, that doesn't sound legit. I mean, okay, so it should be a giant red flag to everyone when multiple media outlets, including a lot of the ones in the progressive sphere or in the independent sphere, come out screaming that you're not allowed to talk about this.
It's
This is unacceptable.
That was
this is
early.
a wild and baseless.
Yeah.
They still don't.
But like in 2017, remember we went to the Democratic conventions? Like, oh my God, stuff. People like Atkins and the Skolnicks. You can't talk about that. You're a conspiracy theorist.
Flat out, you can't talk about it.
Yeah. That's what they say. You can't talk about, or they just try to shame you and like convince everybody around you that you're this Looney Tunes cuckoo bird for, being curious about something as weird as what we just described. I mean, this is a botched robbery. I mean, fuck you. That's crazy. That doesn't make any sense at all. Listen, I'm a true crime nerd, and that was not a botched robbery.
I love that too.
Are you?
Funny. Yeah, I love all the investigative.
Girl, I have worn all the documentary true crime stuff. Ooh, we could have a conversation.
I really think that the psyop behind true crime is to turn like all women into serial killers.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
Well, then how come men are all the serial killers? At 25,
they're teaching you, and every single one of you that watches that show, you go, I could do it better.
Oh,
here's how I would do it.
Well, I mean, yeah.
There's so many people who watch that show. That's what I want to do for my job and my life. I'm gonna go get a degree.
Listen, I tell my husband all the time that I'm one pair of socks left on the floor away from being on an episode of Snapped. and he needs to watch his ass
Ah.
for real.
Are there still socks there?
But yeah, this Seth Rich thing does not make any sense at all in any way, shape, or form. And the fact that you're not allowed to talk about it, or you're labeled as crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist, if you even like breathe a word, should be massive red flags for everybody. That's why can't we talk about it? Why? That doesn't.
When I think it was 2017 when Jimmy went on Joe Rogan. And literally, Joe was like, "Yeah, so what about Seth Rich?" And Jimmy's like, "You can talk about that."
Holy crap! No.
Like,
I mean,
Jimmy still gets shit on.
Yeah.
Still for
and
one.
I'm glad that he will fucking talk about it. He doesn't talk about it enough, but I'm glad that he does. But I think the biggest takeaway, right, in 2016, we learned how the Democratic Party rigs elections. Like straight, like what?
Apparently, we did
Primaries, Andrew.
Right.
They
Some
only
of us
rig
learned.
primaries.
How they
Right.
violate election integrity to put whatever candidate they want into power. So that way, I'm not causing any trouble, right?
Thank you.
But the thing is now, right? So the Democrats now know that, but now the Republicans realize it too, because they were in their own little vacuum, like fighting amongst themselves, having their own little rallies, and they're like, "Oh, those people just stole from me." So I'm just glad that there's now that at least base level of information that 100% of the country understands that at least 50% of the political process is rigged.
I mean, listen, I was talking to a Trump supporter right when we got to the Capitol and stuff, and he was asking me what we're all about. And I was explaining to him, we're leftists here that are fighting for election integrity. And we first started this fight back in 2016 when Bernie Sanders got cheated. And that Trump person looked at me and said, "You know something? We didn't say anything when that happened. I'm sorry." Because they realized it just happened to them. But I am more fearful now of the left that just got sheep herded right back into the same BS.
Oh.
Literally, these people are saying, and you see how many people say, "Oh, no, our elections are okay." Craig Pallas said they even cheated. Trump even cheated his way, and it would have been worse if Trump didn't cheat. I mean, and they're echoing this bullshit, and like nobody on the left even wants to talk about this stuff. They don't even want to talk about the structure. It's just like
it's conspiracy theory, and like it's good that more people know on both sides now, but it's also bad that the way it was handled too by the right, I don't think it was entirely the best way, calling it voter fraud,
Lynn
bringing
Wood,
in the
Jesus
ghost of Hugo
Christmas.
Chavez, bringing in China, bringing all these things. Like, obviously I believe that was done with a purpose, because none of these people in power want us to actually understand that there is no democracy, right?
Yeah.
And so
Well,
like
it's that national counterintelligence document,
right,
mixed with the fact that if this court case stands, you can't even receive information to share. Yeah. So you put those two together and you have the all-out war, like not even fighting against, but just an open war on public disclosure.
Exactly. And it just made it so much. It's just the fact that the right now, it's the right thing too with Trump, has actually turned people that were initially like questioning elections on the progressive end and saying, well, they cheated Bernie, blah, 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 to like, oh no, like you're not, this is not possible. It's just conspiracy. How are you going to explain the hundreds of thousands of ballots and da, 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 da. So people actually, and I was having this conversation, I haven't put it up yet, but with Alex Rubenstein, where if people have regressed, the left has regressed instead of progressed, and they have regressed back into being under the claws of the Democratic establishment. And this is just another form that it's developing as.
Well, and I think also, oh, go ahead.
I was to say, what you're witnessing is a cycle, though.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex is too. And it's just, this happens every 8-12 years, where you get a wave of new lefties who watch their pet politician either get stomped on or co-opted. And so their choice is to pretend it didn't happen and become part of the establishment because they've convinced themselves that that's the only way to beat the establishment, or they leave the party and then they become the people that have been in a third party for a long time, or they become the people who just said, there's no solution politically to the problems that this country has created. We need something else entirely. And now this is hopefully like, but you'll see it again. You'll see a brand new wave of progressives. You'll see a brand new wave of progressive candidates. You'll hear the exact same talking points, and then you will slowly watch them turn into the Democratic establishment.
They're very good at the little sheep herding thing that they do. I mean, they're very good at managing the left. And I think something that we need to be mindful of, like just specifically right now, is that yes, this has always gone on where you can't question okay, so the whole election integrity thing right now, I think, has gotten so much more nefarious because we've now entered into a realm where we have sitting Congress people calling for other Congress people to be booted from Congress for questioning an election, which is the right to do. We should be able to have audits. And so now we're moving into the thing where it's like Seth Rich. Now you won't even be able to talk about election integrity at all because it's violent and you're, it's an insurrection and are you trying to coup the government? Like, what are you doing? Like, it's gotten to a much more nefarious place now. I mean, before it's always been like a weird thing to talk about election integrity. But this has ramped it up to a whole other level of nefarious, just to me, and that's just the way I see it. But
this is after 5 years of Russiagate.
Yes.
This is after 5 years of smearing Julian Assange through the mud, claiming that Russia stole our elections, that we have no election integrity, that we're being manipulated. But now we're good. Don't worry. Don't ask a question.
Democrats spent 5 years telling us their elections were shit, and now they're angry because people think our elections are shit. It doesn't make fucking sense. It's.
And how about?
I don't understand.
How about AOC going around and saying, I'm behind Cory Bush's legislation, and on Rachel Maddow, she says, and these are the same people, and she's talking about she's referencing Cory Bush's bill. And she said, these are the same people who brought the Confederate flag into our Capitol and whatnot. So it's almost like framing that anybody who looks like they're questioning elections are, racist, white nationalist. I mean, this is scary, scary, scary times right now with these people.
Yeah. And Whitney Webb actually points this out a lot. I believe she talked about it with Steve as well as talking about it with Graham Elwood. How they figured out that that's a hot button trigger issue. So you just take whatever the hell the corporate elite is fighting against and say, oh, don't look at that. That's racist. That's bad. Yeah. And there's more people that are willing to reject an issue based on that than there are to say, wow, what the fuck's actually going on?
Absolutely.
I haven't trusted these people in a decade. Why am I going to do it now?
Yeah. That's why the Convo couch is matriculated to you guys, because you guys don't play that game.
No.
Yeah, like none of us are going on Rachel Maddow anytime soon.
But I'm really wondering, real quick, like, Fiorella's position, which he talks about, and, there's actually the gentleman who I was on the show with you that one day, Steve, the gentleman from England, I think it's Red Sea Socialist. He even feels
no. That's Red Star Radio. That's Alex Davidson.
Alex Davidson. Is it Alexander Davidson, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Red Sea Socialist is female and
probably in our chat right now.
My bad. Yeah. They got the same kind of
smoking hot
mixed up in Twitter and Twitter. But Alexander Davidson, Sir Alexander, I think he has the same point as Fiorella, and maybe Red Sea Socialist does too as well, because I saw her in the chat one day, is that the fact that they're throwing out some of this stuff that is such a turnoff to the left, talking about the ghost of Hugo Chavez, that China's pulling the strings, which, I don't believe that they're pulling the strings at all. If they're involved, they're definitely not pulling the strings. The people in our country within arm's length are pulling the strings, and that, immigrants can sway an election and stuff like that. And this is a real turnoff to the people on the left. But I sometimes wonder if it's not meant to be, like you say, they're doing this on purpose, so nobody will talk about it. But I just sometimes think that some of the Republicans can't get out of the way of their own ideology. Every single time I talk to my mom or her friends, it's like they're trying to turn this country into a communist country. It's like, well, Mom, I don't think it's the communist thing. And my aunt, it's the socialist country. I don't know if it's the socialist thing. I think we have to worry about the authoritarianism, which can come in the form of capitalism, socialism, communism, and stuff like that. So sometimes I feel that really on the right, they can't get out of their own ideology. They're out of the way of their own ideology. So I don't know if it was a ploy to really throw off these independents and leftists who can, like Hugo Chavez invented this shit. Wake up, stop it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of curious right now because I'm not sure I'm 100% with Fee's ideology on this, but it's something to question right now. I'm like, I don't know where I stand because it could be either or.
I think it's at the end of the day, just tries to bang a drum of war. Like it's the same kind of mantra that they had with Russiagate, where now we're locked in a new international arms race for no ass reason because the Democrats had their dirty laundry put out. Like I think it's the same kind of thing. It'll be used to have an enemy that the other side of the political spectrum can be like, yeah, let's invade those people.
That's all it is. They each have to have their boogeyman. They play off each other. They work together to make the other one scarier. And, you know, the right has communism and the left has fascism. And it's theater. It's all theater. Like none of that stuff. I mean, is there literal fascism? Sure. Yeah. Okay. Is it as big a deal as people are pretending it is in this country? No. But you know, it's the same. I say this all the time on matters of war in Wall Street. There's one party. Everything else is used to keep the people fighting amongst themselves. Yep. It's all distraction. It's all just them throwing out these emotionally charged issues and using propaganda to keep you afraid of each other and at each other's throats, because then you don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. So, you know, all of that stuff is window dressing. It's all it is. It's these buzzwords that they throw at you because it sparks fear. And when you're scared, you don't think straight. Yeah. So it's much easier to control you when you're afraid. And they know how to push your buttons. They're very good at this, you guys. I mean, they're very good at this. And we need more people to start recognizing the tricks that they use. And I mean, if you watch any politician, anytime they're about to sell you some bullshit, which is 98.9% of the time, they will start off with a fear-based statement. They'll say national security, or they'll say, you know what I mean? Something that like immediately makes people like flip into that defensive position, because then everything else they say, you're going to buy into because you're scared. And it's propaganda 101. And if we can just get people to start recognizing how they use it against us, that would be massive. But the problem with that is people don't like to admit or come to the realization that they've been had, that they fell for the bullshit, and that because everybody thinks they're smarter than that. And it's this pride thing where they don't want to admit that they were wrong. They don't want to admit that they fell for a line of malarkey. That's what against.
Do that shit when I'm taking a sip.
So to talk a little bit about the buzzwords, right? We had President Obama, who was the champion at spinning the worst situations to being a good thing. While talking about torture, he said, yeah, you know, we tortured some folks. When talking about international war crimes, he said, we're not trying to look back. We're going to look forward. And this is what looking forward got us. So this is from the same document. The link's down in the description. But this is President Trump. This is the judge talking about the defense's points about President Trump's assault on the International Criminal Court. So the defense points out to President Trump's America First policy, his views on the entitlement of the U.S. to resort to torture and waterboarding in its national interest, and his denunciation of the International Criminal Court. The defense argues that Mr. Assange's free speech agenda and his revelations of war crimes put him in the crosshairs of this administration. However, and this is the judge's words, it is pure conjecture to link U.S. policies to improper pressure to prosecute Mr. Assange, and there is no evidence to support this theory. It is speculation. These policies do not lead to these policies did not lead to the prosecution of other internet publishers that disclose the same Manning material, such as the New York-based Cryptome and the Internet Archive. This sort of speculation has led to some surprising theories in the defense witnesses, such as the suggestion from Eric Schmidt that the Manning leaks appear to have resurrected, deflect attention away from the 2016 leaks and the attack on unpopular foreigner, and to put him away in jail for the rest of his life. So the Trump administration, the releases by Chelsea Manning have been used by the International Criminal Court to attempt to move forward proceedings against members of the United States for international war crimes in the era of George W. Bush with the information that Chelsea Manning disclosed. Mike Pompeo came out and said, we're literally going after their families. Like the State Department man, right? The person that Trump put at the head of the State Department said they're going after the family members of the International Criminal Court if they move forward with these proceedings. They're also going after the person that published them. And the judge says this is speculation.
You know, Fee talked about that she's heard Tom Cotton's name been floated for 2024. I keep on hearing Pompeo Cheney, and it just frightens the crap out of me.
Cheney's too old. I don't think you can do it.
No, Liz.
Oh.
Yeah, I think
Liz.
she's definitely going to be one of the top
Pompeo
establishment
Liz.
right contenders. Yeah.
You're going to have
Oh my
Tom Cotton
God.
on stage, Pompeo, Liz Cheney, Lord Bolton, and Nikki Haley.
And we will be far, far away.
And Joe
Rand
Biden
Paul.
will be
And Rand
doing
Paul.
shooting in the back.
You guys, we're like 10 years from Emperor Bezos.
Emperor Bezos.
Yep.
We're like 10 years from that. Palpatine,
We have 10
Pompeo,
years.
Emperor Bezos.
Palpatine Pompeo.
Palpatine, Pompeo, and Emperor Bezos. That's where we're headed. Here we go.
Instead of having all the wrinkles on his head, they're all on his chin.
Pompeo, his
Yeah.
one chin that he had photoshopped. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Speaking about
Such a
the Bush family, by
turd.
the way, like you know how the Democrats have had Russia this whole time, and the Republicans have had China. Well, I saw a Q-tard on a video the other day saying, "Get ready, strapped in, because Russia and China are invading us."
And Iran and Venezuela and whoever else we happen to want to
Lebanese Hezbollah, not even just Hezbollah.
Yeah.
They want to make sure
Yeah.
that region's under distress too, as well.
Oh, I'm really sorry if you guys can hear my mom's cat. She's super freaking loud right now.
Oh.
Okay. She's so loud.
Ready?
Oh, ridiculous. Okay.
Hey guys,
anyway.
we got to get on out of here. That's our
Yeah,
90
do you
minutes.
wanna let- I know everybody knows, but you want to let people know where they can find you and about your work?
You can find us on Rockfin. More than importantly, that's where you need you to go. This is my radio voice. I'm Pasta Jardula. Here's Fiorella Isabel, and we need you to sign up for the Convo Couch. We have a Twitter, who cares about the Facebook, a YouTube, and of course a Rockfin. That's spelled ROKFIN. You can join us with Action for Assange. We love you. We'll see you soon.
And my Twitter is Fiorella_IM.
At Yo Pasta.
Yo.
Thank you guys very much for joining us.
Thanks,
I love that.
guys.
We love you guys.
Thank you guys. We love you.
We love you.
We still have time for a pardon, Steve. Steve.
Yeah.
Call Mitch McConnell's office.
We got 13 hours
Here.
and 30
So
minutes.
before everybody bounces real quick, go to actionforassange.com. We have tons of call to actions that are super still relevant. Every member of the parliament in Australia. We have tons of emails to the Department of Justice. We have literally the U.S. Pardon Office that you can email right now. There's tons of them. So go on there, scroll through, find some calls to action, and pump it out.
Bye, guys.
And if you're not afraid, find Pasta on Parlor.
Did you see that shit? Somebody put my parlor up again yesterday. Well, what's with this tactic? Let's smear them. I mean, it's just a neoliberal
Well,
tactic.
don't you know, Pasta? If you make a Parlor account, you're telling the world, I only like white people. That's
Even-
like I be.
Even
That's what I've been hearing from my friends that have little roses next to their names on Twitter.
yeah. Even if I
They
say to
tell me
them
that
I'm a leftist libertarian here to talk to people who think differently than me, to build
No.
bridges, that doesn't
well,
work.
that's your problem.
No,
Pasta. You're the wrong kind of leftist.
Everyone.
Everyone knows
Collaborator.
that only the real leftists are knee-jerk, reactionary, authoritarian little shits. that live in constant fear and just really want Medicare for all.
Maybe
Green
not
New
really.
Deal.
Not
'Cause our
really.
yachts
They didn't want to
were
fight for it.
They want to be able to shout bumper sticker slogans without having any actual accountability or putting in any fucking work.
Wear
for
a
it.
mask that
Sorry,
says
Pasta's
Medicare
mom.
for all.
Look, I'll be less vulgar, Pasta's mom, when the people who run the country do less vulgar things.
That's right.
Yeah, I literally had that conversation with somebody the other day. But
I
we
love
have to
you
let
guys.
them go. So
We
before
love
we
you
do
guys.
love
that,
you.
Everybody do.
Awesome.
Every
Bye,
single one of you.
guys.
Mwah.
thank you guys.
Peace. Okay.
I got me a fine wife,
Oh
got
my
me a
God.
fiddle. Sun's coming up, I got cakes on the griddle. Life ain't nothing but a funny riddle.
Thank God I'm a country boy.
Woo! OH!
I-O.
I love them.
Yeah, Pasta always OHs me, even though we got our asses kicked in the national championship game, and it makes me sad, but also I-O. Bitches. Bitches.
Oh, is that because Pasta's not here anymore and you won't have to hear that his mom is disappointed in you for swearing? I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like
Wait,
swearing
no.
for about 20
Dude,
straight minutes.
Come on. I swore like 900 times after that. I'm no good at this game.
Mm.
I'm so proud of myself that I made it through 15 minutes of fault lines without cursing, because I'm not even kidding you. That's all I thought about the whole time. I don't even know what I said, which is not surprising because I never remember interviews or shows or any of that stuff, vaguely, but not really.
Yeah.
But I definitely do not remember that one. But I'm pretty sure I didn't curse. I'm pretty sure.
Like I said, it was easier. It was easier for me because I was in the studio and there were signs up, like
Right.
mostly where Stranahan would have sat, like
Right.
within his eye line, were the no cussing signs. But yeah, there
I thought
were a
about
couple.
putting a post-it up here, but then I thought then maybe it'll like reverse psychology me, and then I'll cuss anyways, because I don't know.
Right.
Seriously, I overthought it a lot.
Can I pull up some reverse psychology shit real quick from the judge? I have a whole bunch of.
Oh, Andrew, dude,
I
you
managed
were
to.
on
I
the
managed to
ball.
get through.
I'm
I
sorry.
managed to get through every radio interview I've had without swearing.
Really?
Yeah, and it's
I
like
don't
a
even think
lot
about
now.
You guys, there's like 900 kittens around me right now, and it's a little annoying.
That sounds like a good problem to have.
Really, though. Oh my God.
This is my last one. Can I pull this up?
Yes.
Let's do it.
No, Andrew.
I love you guys. So this is point 80 from the same document that the judge said Julian should not be extradited and that he should be released immediately, and then ruled against her own order. But cases which raise novel issues of law are not uncommon. For example, in 2001, in the U.S., a court considered an operation of First Amendment in relation to a radio station which had published information obtained through an unlawful wiretapping by an unidentified third party. In 2006, a court considered a position by Mr. Rosen and his co-defendant, who were prosecuted for passing classified information from a whistleblower to the press. In Mr. Assange's case, the U.S. court will have to grapple with the boundaries of free press in relation to sensitive information in the age of the internet. However, the mere fact that this prosecution tests these boundaries does not demonstrate that they brought it in bad faith. I think literally every fucking thing we have talked about demonstrates how this prosecution has been brought in bad faith.
Can I mention how much I hate everything?
You
Just
what?
sorry. I hate everything.
I feel you.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have caught me at my probably the least cheery I could possibly be today. Look. Okay, again, man, I couldn't be an activist if I didn't have that little core of hope.
Right.
You know, it is surrounded by a very well constructed wall of cynicism, but it's there. It's there. you know, and because of that, like there's a lot that we can be doing, and there are a lot of reasons to be positive. It's just we don't get to be positive about all the things, or even like all of the major things, you know. Okay, in the unlikely scenario that in the next, what, 2 hour and a half paperwork gets filed that approves Julian Assange's pardon, again, we still keep going, because if you read the report put out by Freedom of the Press Foundation, attacks on American journalists increased 1,200% last year. That's not going to go away under Biden and Harris. It's flat out not. We've got, well, you call him Captain Crime Bill.
Yeah, Captain Crime Bill and cop.
And freaking Camillery. And you know, we've got our work cut out for us on so many fronts, you guys, and that's why we need a free press, because the exact same people that will tell you it's a conspiracy theory to use the phrase Great Reset will have politicians on their show and members of the business community on their show that get invited to the World Economic Forum, which is where the Great Reset originated from. I'm pretty sure everybody that's watching right now is hip to that. But if you're not, man, you need to go get a lot of time and the entire collected works of Cory Morningstar. It's
yeah, you're gonna need a lot of time, because I like have to read everything like twice, 3 times, because it's a lot of information. Her and Whitney Webb make my brain hurt a lot. Not gonna lie.
Like, there's a certain point, especially where Cory's work is concerned, where you like pause and you're like, wait a minute, dude, people can't be that depraved, can they?
And then you realize they can, and then you have to go back and read it again, because you're like, but really? Really though? And yeah, then you realize, yes, that isn't true. That is in fact true. It's a lot to take in, and that's another thing that we're up against, because a lot of people don't want to recognize how bad it is, which I get. It's unbelievably terrifying. Once you recognize what we're actually up against, these people are insane. They have no morals, values, ethics. They don't give a shit. There's no humanity left in these people. They're psychopaths. They are depraved. We have let the worst among us rise to the most powerful positions. And that sucks. And I don't know how we fix it. And, you know, but yeah, it's a lot to take in. It really is, to realize. I mean, it took me a while. I mean, I always knew it was bad, but to really realize how deep it is a journey people have to take, because there are, I mean, you go through all of those, like, it's almost like stages of grief, but different. You know what I mean?
Stages of learning.
Yeah, or like stages of awakening.
Deep
stages of awakening, maybe, where it's like you have to chip away at your perception of the world and come to terms with the fact that everything you thought you knew is bullshit, and you have to re-educate yourself. And that's, you know, not everybody has the time for that. Not everybody has the capacity for that. Not everybody has the willingness to do it. And so, yeah, that's what we're up against. And I don't know how to combat that, but all I know is, until I can't anymore, I have to just keep trying. I mean, I don't have a lot of quit in me. I'm kind of, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm a little bit obsessive. So yeah, this is all I can do. So here I am doing it. That's all I know how to do.
Till I win, or there's a tag on my toe.
Mm-hmm. That's all I got. That's it. Once you know, you can't unknow. And once you know, you can't not fight. It's, you know, I mean, that's just me. I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who prefer to ignore it or make excuses for it, or, you know, whatever. I don't know how to do that. I wish I did sometimes, but I don't know how to do that.
One of the most dangerous words that a person can use to describe a situation in relationship to fighting against organized state power is the fact that there are moral imperatives. There are things that must be for society to be a functioning society. And it's time that people decide what their moral imperatives are individually and go out and fight for that. And even if you're someone that would die on a hill for Medicare for all, like, fight for that and don't stop, right? Like, just do what you can with the time and money and resources that you have until someone comes and physically stops you. And then when they let you go, keep going. Because that's all we have. That's literally what we have at this point, is getting individual people to be the change in their communities. And that's what we've been asking people to do for
I need to amend that a little bit, because we do need those individual people to get together and team up.
That's what I was going to say. All we have is each other.
Yeah. You don't do as much as effectively if 40 of you are on 40 separate streets waving 40 separate signs.
That's fair.
But when 40 of you
have done as efforts
I get
of
what you're
individuals.
I get what you're saying, Andrew, and I agree with you. Like, everybody has to, you have to be brave enough to be that first person to take that step and to be the person on the street corner. And then, you know, somebody will join you, and then the next week maybe 2 other people join you, and then the next week maybe 4 people join you, and that's how you build it. So I get what you're saying, but I also agree with Steve. We're not on our own. All we have is each other. Nobody is coming to save us. Like, none of these politicians give 2 shits about you. You are going to have to set aside your pride and recognize that all you have is your neighbor, and your community. And that's really what we have to start recognizing, I think. And that's what they're most terrified of. I mean, us all getting together and working as one, because really we can't do anything else until we deal with the oligarchy and the powers that be, you know, whatever you want to call them, the establishment, whatever you want to call them. They're the people who are in control of everything. And until we can wrestle some power back from them, I mean, what is the point? You know what I mean?
Well, like, this is the fundamental thing that people have to understand about what an oligarchy is, because you can, like, people will freely admit, yes, we live in an oligarchy. What that means is that this thing that we call Congress and this thing that we call the presidency, those are optics. It is for show. When you live in an oligarchy, you have a small number of moneyed interests that control the day-to-day machinations of the state. That's what that is. It's not, oh, these oligarchs, but we can vote our way out of it. It's not, oh, the oligarchs, but if we just get 2 more progressives on 2 important committees. That's not how that shit works. That's not. When you have an oligarchy, at least according to Plato, the next step is democracy, literally in the Platonic term of it, demos small d, of the people, mob rule. That's what comes next in Plato's 5 stages of government, and then a republic. But with an oligarchy, there is not a legislative or political solution. No. There isn't. And the sooner we can all figure that out, the sooner we can get to toppling an oligarchy and dismantling its national security apparatus, so that we can then decide as people, as the mob, how best to structure a republic so that this shit doesn't happen again.
Yeah. What's really frustrating to me right now is that you have all these people, like these Bernie Sanders supporters or former supporters, like people who have kind of caught on to his bullshit and they're kind of coming out of that fog. But now they're like, okay, Bernie Sanders sucks, so let's do People's Party. And you're so close. You're so close. Like, come a little bit further along, like third parties aren't the answer either, you guys. I hate to be like a Debbie Downer as usual, but a third party is not going to work in a rigged system. They control everything, all of it, top to bottom, the election, the registration, polling locations, all of it. Like, it's all under their control. You're never
Ballot access.
Ballot access, everything. They control all of it. You cannot play within their rules and expect to win because they'll just change the rules. That's what they do. There is no beating them. There is no beating them at their own game. I don't know how else to explain it to people. You are not going to beat them at their own game. We have to think beyond that. And I don't know. Listen, I'm not smart enough to know what that looks like or what that means or what's the best answer. But until people can even start to look beyond that as a solution, I don't know what else to do. Like, we can't just keep pretending like electoral politics is going to get us anywhere. It's not. And every time somebody gets sucked back into that system, it just sets us back. Just unbelievable. It's seriously one of the most frustrating things right now. I can't even, and it's like otherwise intelligent human beings who, yes, I disagree with them on Bernie for the past 4 years because they were still into him and I was not, and I got a lot of shit for it. But then it's like these people, come out of that fog and they're still talking about electoral politics, and I'm tired, y'all. That's not the answer. And again, I don't know what the answer is. People ask me all the time, I'm not smart enough for that shit. Like, I'm an activist. Like, I'm all I know is I'm willing to do what we need to do to upend the system, because that's all that's going to fix it. And so somebody smarter than me needs to come up with a plan, but third parties, electoral politics, we're never going to get anywhere with that. Ever. We can't even get a floor vote on Medicare for all.
I get this a lot too, Misty. I do. I get it a lot. Well, then what do we do? What needs to happen? What's the solution to all of the world's problems, Steve? And I don't know, but I do know that we can't do what we've been doing. I do know that the system as it exists is not a realistic avenue towards a sustainable future. I know that you can't vote your way out of an oligarchy. So whatever we do can't be drawn from the absolute failures that we've already tried. Our isms have failed us, all of them. And if you come at me with that, we've never had true capitalism, or we've never had true communism, or no shit, because they failed us, because there have been obstacles put in place by other isms, which have also failed us. So whatever it is we do is going to require, and I fucking hate to have to put it this way, but it's what it's gonna take, ascension of some sort. Like, people say all the time that whatever we're about to get into is going to be a spiritual journey, and I agree with that 100%, with the caveat that all of our isms have failed us. So whatever it is we're drawing from spiritually, it can't be rooted in the dogma that has led to the creations of the systems that have failed us. Doesn't mean that you can't believe in God or Jesus or any of that. Doesn't mean you can't believe in Allah. Doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean that. What it means is that the spirituality that you're drawing from can't be rooted in systemic dogma, which isn't the spirituality that you're drawing from anyway. That's not the connection with your higher being that you want, is a dogmatic one that's ultimately going to be rooted in fear. that's not how you commune with the divine.
I mean, okay. I just wish people would use some common sense. Like whatever spirituality, whatever, I don't give a fuck what you want to believe in, but that's not, to me, grown-ass adults understanding that it's not a good way to solve your solutions by blowing people up. That seems pretty basic to me. Like I don't understand why that's a controversial thing. Election integrity, like these are things that should be so basic. It should be so. What?
Somebody has a hardcore echo.
Oh, I don't hear it. Oh yeah, I did this then. Oh yeah, that's terrible. Somebody else talk. Good lord.
Talk.
Hello?
Hello.
Blue?
No, I just didn't want to hear myself.
Blue?
I can hear myself on the echo, and I hate that.
I don't hear you echoing.
Okay, I didn't either at first, but then I did. Sometimes I get loud.
Huh.
Sorry,
But
it happens.
are we ready for jazz
Yeah.
hands and wrap up?
Yes, I'm always ready for jazz hands.
Cool. So one last thing I'm going to put on the share screen before we go today, just as everyone laughs, just because I find it so heinously terrible. Line 32, initially the U.S. objected to the admissibility of some of the defense's evidence on the basis that it was not relevant to the proceedings. The defense arguments against extradition are numerous, complex, and in some instances novel. I took the view that the court would be a better place to decide the relevance of witnesses after it had heard from them. I indicated to the parties that I would admit the defense evidence, de benes, some fancy legal word, and determine its relevance at the end of the case, having invited the parties' views. In the event, the U.S. decided not to object formally to the evidence, and no rulings on admissibility were required from the court. So, right, we had evidence and testimony about war crimes, open torture programs, the use of intelligence agencies to violate lawyer-client privilege, but we weren't talking about that, according to Vanessa Braitzer. Like, that doesn't weigh in here at all. So, with that, I would like to thank everybody for tuning into the Free Assange Vigil. My name is Andrew Smith. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew Sigmund. You can find all of our call to actions up on action4assange.com. You can find us on Twitter at action_4assange. And I just want to give a special thank you to Pasta Infi for hopping on with us relatively last minute to fill that spot in my heart that was missing.
You are so cheesy, dude.
I told you.
Andrew, I love you so much. Okay. Anyway,
Is
so
everybody doing impressions of me now?
That wasn't an impression. That was just a stolen bit.
Anyway, I'm Misty Winston. You can find me on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. I have another show with my friend Jesse Zerwell called Facts on the Ground. We are now also on the Rockfin. You guys, I just remembered to say that. We just interviewed Nico because Nico was cool enough to help get us on the Rockfin. So he was like our little celebratory first guest. And then we also just talked to Scott, I think it's Denoyers. I'm so worried I'm going to say it wrong. But he is a fierce Medicare for All activist. He lost his son a couple years ago. You guys may or may not know who he is, but he was really big. He was on the Force the Vote town hall, and he's just awesome, like a really cool guy. It was a heavy show, but I think it's an important conversation to have, so I'm glad that we got to talk to him today. Jesse may already have that published. I'm not sure. I haven't checked recently, but it should be up soon, if not.
I think it is.
What?
I think it's up.
Is it? Okay. I don't know.
So.
I've been, here. I can't pay attention to all that stuff at one time. Thanks to everybody in the chat. I love you guys so much. And thanks to Pasta and Fee. They're amazing. They've been taking a lot of shit lately. Don't forget to check out Fiorella's Substack. She didn't talk about it, but she just started a Substack today. Her first article is up on that. So make sure you check that out and subscribe to that for sure. I think that's it. Thanks, guys.
My name's Steve Poikin, and I host a show called Slow News Day that you should be watching on the Rockfin, because that's where we will be when YouTube yanks the channel for telling way too much accurate information. Man, thanks you guys for being a part of all of this with us. It's been really wild 81 consecutive weeks. The world is about to become a vastly different place, and I believe that we need each other more than ever, and that if you're not, if you don't feel like you belong in your community, now is the time to seek a new community and start building it with the people that that you feel like you can, commune with. Big thanks to Boston Fee. Thanks to the MCSC network for streaming these vigils on their platform. Thanks Sleepy Josh on the ones and twos, Misty, Andrew. Love you guys, and we'll see you soon. Oh, hey, while you're here, please join us Saturday, because our guest, we're going to have a couple of guests, and I really do think Jill Everett's going to be on to give us an update, because she got arrested and absolutely manhandled by UK police, and she had to go to court over that. And so Jill will hopefully be with us to give us an update. Allie, of course, the wonderful Allison Mason,
I love Allie.
will be popping in, and Eric Levy, 92-year-old legend,
My man.
protester, and all around wonderful human being.
Legit
Hashtag
my
Eric
hero. Not even kidding.
will
I
be
think
with
that
us.
word.
So make sure you're there for that. We'll see you then. Until next time, y'all. Good luck to us all.